Okay, so I'm going to do some examples here of factoring some expressions, and I'm going to do them in the context of solving equations. That's one of the most common ways that we use factoring. So first example, suppose we have x squared minus 5x plus 6 equals 0, and we're asked to solve that. Okay, so this first step in solving that is going to be to factor the left-hand side. And then we'll use the argument that we used before. Once we have this factored, the only way the whole thing can equal 0 is if one of the factors equals 0. So we'll get to that. But first step is to factor it, and we're doing guess and check factoring. So we're looking for two factors that will be x and some number. And in thinking about what numbers to put here with the x's, we're going to think about first the factors of 6. Okay, and so the factors of 6, the ones that come to mind first are probably 2 and 3, 1 and 5, sorry, 1 and 6. 2 and 3 add up to 5, but they add up to a positive 5. Okay, what we've got here is a negative 5. So this is kind of pushing us to be a little more systematic and complete in thinking about the factors of 6, because there's some more factors of 6. You know how else you get positive 6? Negative 2 times negative 3, because two negatives multiply together give a positive, and negative 1 and negative 6 will also work, but at this point, we've actually found what we need here. These two factors, the product is 6, which is what we want. The product is this, and the sum is the negative 5. Okay, so this is how we're handling the negatives here, and throughout, what we are doing is we are thinking of x squared minus 5 is really x squared plus a negative 5. That's how it's going to work. So what we're going to guess and check is that x minus 2 and x minus 3 will equal the expression that we want, and multiplying that out, we get x squared minus 3x minus 2x plus 6. Oh, look at that, x squared minus 5x plus 6. It checks, hooray. There's our factoring. Okay, so we've done the factoring. Now let's step back and ask ourselves, why do we do the factoring in the first place? Well, just to go over what I went over briefly, more systematically, the whole expression equals 0. How can this expression equal 0? Well, if the first term equals 0, the whole thing will be 0. Or if the second term equals 0, the whole thing will be 0, because 0 times any number will give us 0. So our solutions are going to be either x equals 2 or x equals 3. If x equals 2, then this expression is 0, and would be 2 times negative 1, that's 0. If x equals 3, it would be 1 times 0, that's also 0. Okay. Let's do another example. Here, we're going to have a negative sign, but it's going to be a different place. All my examples here involve factoring expressions like this that have negative signs in them. So the second one, x squared plus 5x minus 6. Okay, so here again, we're going to think about the factors of the last term, but our last term is now negative. So we're thinking about what are the factors of negative 6. Well, the factors of negative 6, we could have negative 2, 3, we could have negative 3, 2, we could have negative 1, 6, we could have 1, negative 6. Okay. Looking at those pairs, which set of these if any, add up to 5. Well, we're not going to get 5 with the 2's and the 3's here because they have different signs. But look at this. 6 plus -1 equals 5. So this is going to be my guess here. I'm going to guess that x minus 1 times x plus 6 equals x squared plus 5x minus 6. And let's do my checking. I've been doing my checking in thin red, so let's keep on doing that to check. X times x is x squared plus 6x minus x minus 6 equals x squared plus 5x minus 6. Looks good. Again, going through the rest of the process, let's say that we're interested in factoring this to solve for x because this whole thing equals 0. So the solutions will be x equals 1 and x equals -6. Okay, so x equals +1 will make this term 0. X equals -6 will make that term 0. All right. So our last example here will be one where we've got a negative on 2 terms. So x squared minus 5x squared minus 6 here. Just reminding ourselves the same factors of -6 that we had before. It's -2, +3, +2, -3, -1, +6, 1, -6. Now we're looking for a pair of factors that give us a -5 here. Okay, so it's this one, -6 and +1. That's what I'm going to guess. I'm going to guess x plus 1 times x minus 6. And I'm going to check that to get x squared minus 6x plus x plus, not plus. Let's go through that a little more systematically. X times x is x squared. X times -6 is -6x. 1 times x is x. 1 times -6 is -6. And that does indeed give me x squared. The -6x plus x is -5x. -6, that checks. If, again, as we were doing before, we're looking for cases where this would be equal to 0 and solving for the values of x, here we would have x equal -1 or +6. Okay, so I think if you take these examples, work through them yourself, check them, check out the quiz, do the practice problem, so you're going to get comfortable with this kind of factoring. Again, I want to end with a warning label. This guess and check method of factoring isn't going to work all the time. Sometimes it's not going to work because some forms like this really can't be factored. Okay, so that's thing one. Thing two is sometimes there will be forms that are factorable, but the factors aren't the kind of like easy small integers that come to mind that we would naturally guess at. And this isn't a very systematic way to find those. So in a couple more lessons, we're going to bring on a few more techniques for factoring these kind of quadratic polynomials. But in all honesty, the guess and check method is what you're going to need for doing a lot of problems and for following sort of simple examples that are part of a broader argument. So do those practice problems and you'll get familiar with it really quickly. Okay, have fun.